Happy Monday, everyone. So, how's everyone? I'm going to share a little bit of a story about my morning this morning. And as ever, it's not really about me, but to get you thinking about your own health. So, over the years, I've had lots of little challenges with my health, and in retrospect, I can see how much they teach me about me, myself, my body, my emotions, but also ultimately for how I work with patients. I'm a big believer in when the body is yelling with symptoms that it's a call to pay attention. And there are many things that we can do at that point, and often all of them are necessary on the healing path. So when the body's really screaming, of course, we're going to turn to doctors and medicine, and I would never discourage anyone doing that. In fact, I encourage patients to get the tests done, get the blood work done, and I know it can often be frustrating when it comes to functional health problems, when everything comes back clear or there's only really minor things showing up, like I might catch liver function's a little bit off, or there's a little bit of inflammation, or their B12 or their iron is low, or just little things that your doctor will sort of dismiss because really there is nothing wrong. And when I mean wrong, I mean in terms of pathology. Your body there isn't a disease there. You're not sick. And then you're going to say, but I'm not feeling good. And yeah, 100%. So then the next kind of avenue we can go down is the road of functional medicine, where we're looking at a patient from a functional perspective, all of the organs and systems and how they're working and operating and interconnecting, and if there's an imbalance or a suboptimal function going on there. So this is where things like gut health, lung health, immune system, inflammation system, all come into play. Thyroid function, so how the body is interacting with the environment as well is very important. How we're processing things, so our hormone load and balance, our neurotransmitters are two things that spring to mind. I've been up really early, so my brain isn't 100% here. And then we that's where I look at the body, and I go from a medical zoomed in approach to a far back approach where we step back from the microscope and look at the body as a whole and how the systems are all working with one another. So for example, with hormones or female health problems, we need to look at liver function, how we're detoxifying those hormones, and gut function, how we're eliminating those hormones. That's just a simple example. So functional medicine is brilliant. We do this big assessment on diet, lifestyle, environment, and how everything is working. And that's where we have functional medicine tests. So sometimes we need to find out more answers, specifics. The gut microbiome, is there any potential pathogens? Is there an imbalance where, as a whole, the gut isn't functioning optimally? We may not be generating the metabolites like short chain fatty acids, or maybe there's a kink in our immune defense line or the mucosal layer, or there's a slight allergy or an immune thing going on to gut. We can look at the thyroid more intricately. We can look at whether there's antibodies. Now the medical system can do this. It's not great at it. So thyroid, we can look at toxic metals that are linked with thyroid health, like arsenic, cadmium, lead, etc., etc. So there's loads of things with functional medicine that we can do, and diagnostics. And this isn't an alternative realm. These are proper tests. It's just they're not available within the medical system. So they're not better than or worse than the medical side. They're in addition to. And it's sort of, think of it as where you're just going that extra step for yourself, which is generally, mainstream gets us to a certain point, and then sometimes we have to go a bit further ourselves. And aren't we lucky that we have those options? Really lucky. That's privilege. And then we have the emotional involvement, the spiritual, emotional side of ourselves, our lifestyles, our stress, our traumas, our wounds. None of us are walking without them, and for some of us, they're impacting health. And that's just the way it is. It's not that you're not able to cope. It's the accumulation of our journey, and all these avenues are important to explore with health. However, not all of us resonate with these avenues, and that's perfectly fine too. And my job is to try and figure out which road is resonating more with you while trying to create a bit of awareness around the others. So my insight, I shouldn't be surprised really at how much our emotions and experiences and how we hold things in our stress response impact our health, or how much our intuition, when we listen, when we try and uncover what the messages from our body are, how accurate they can be. And I'm a highly sensitive person, so I tend to feel a lot within my body. I'm a bit like a tuning fork around people's health systems, which can be health symptoms, which can be a bit confusing for me, because I can be around someone and have a headache, or I can be around someone and feel pain, and for a long time I didn't really understand that I'm sensing them and that it's not for me. But also I internalize a lot with how I sense the world, so I have had a lot of health challenges. So what I've found really interesting though is, because I'll treat myself as I do my patients, I have to. I've done quite a lot of functional medicine testing on myself, and what I found really interesting in the last year is that everything I've tested has come back with the results that I already knew. And this is what I find interesting, because part of me like, oh man, did I just waste all that money? I knew that anyway. But would I have acted on it? And that's the thing. And that's why sometimes the tests are really, really important. I had a feeling my thyroid was off this year, and it was. I had a feeling my DHEA, a stress hormone, was off, and it was. And today I just threw away more money on ultrasounds, because I've always wondered about, this deep-rooted pain that I get on my right side that I feel is related to an appendix operation that went really bad when I was young. And it probably is. They actually couldn't give me the answer on that one, and that's where I think I have to trust my intuition on this. No one can really tell you about adhesions, and to go in and try and figure it out means you can create more. So, but I also found out that everything else is really, really healthy, which is really nice, but I kind of knew it. So it can be interesting. And I think, we have so many options for how we deal with our health now. But the most important thing is to listen to your body. What's it trying to say? What are the symptoms trying to say? And when you get an intuitive feeling about it, are you going to do something about it? So my thyroid, I healed it. It popped back to normal. And I think I would have done that anyway. But I guess it gave me an insight into how the tests work and what it's like for patients. And a lot of patients, perhaps, would you slow down? Would you train less? Would you start working on your boundaries around people, the yes, the no's? So sometimes we need the paper evidence of what's going wrong to make change. Other times we can have this strong sense of something has to change here if I'm going to get better, and we can go and do it anyway. And to trust that, as you get better, yes, you weren't imagining that all these different things were out of whack, and possibly starting to channel down into maybe major health problems. And it's okay to slow down. It's okay to change your diet and lifestyle. You don't need to justify it to anyone. The body is amazing. It can, as much as it can fix itself, it can go into a big bad mess when we don't take care of it. So there isn't really a point to this chat. I suppose for me, I came away today thinking, wow, I've spent a lot on tests in the last 2 years when I knew things were going wrong. And yes, they helped my education, and yes, they helped me help people, but I kind of knew it anyway, and I would have adapted anyway, but maybe not. Maybe I still needed to see it on paper. But the guidance that our body gives us, the wisdom that our body has, the gut feelings, I always try and get people to tell me in your words, and what do you think about this, and what is your feeling about this? And usually they're right. sometimes it can get very confusing when there's a lot going on, or we're new into this journey of trying to connect with ourselves and our being. But gently, softly, kindly, from heart is how we heal. And I think a lot of our challenges are because we're so far disconnected from ourselves. And it's time to come back to ourselves. Cool. Have a good Monday. Bye.